Welcome back to Aspects of Mourn, where I go into what would have been my book series or video game trilogy had I had enough time left to do them, but I just don't. These are my notes on the novels and core concepts I would have wanted to introduce in those projects. This would have been book 9, and it is called Dawn Clover. And you're seeing something kind of unique here, because I'm starting with just Dawn Clover on a page. That's because the other two characters have been working together for a while, as we'll get into them. And this novel would have rounded off a whole bunch of concepts. And there's one thing I want to say. Throughout the 9 books, they're all standalone books, but they have an overarching theme in each one. One is the Hearts of Mourn, where there's some villains after the hearts of the literary gods, as I'll get into when we do the world overview. They're after the hearts of each city on these worlds, and these villains want those cities to gain enough power to overthrow the pantheon, and that arc is going on. So is the king in the north. Everybody is subservient to this king in the north, but they can never find him. You find him at the end of this whole thing, and I'll get to him in a minute when I get to the bottom of this. And the other arc is one that's introduced here, is the Tarrasque invasion, and that is actually the biggest threat in this whole thing, because the Tarrasques are vicious and conquerors, and they find a universe that has unlimited worlds that they can actually use for their own means, and they want it badly, and we'll get into all that as we go through. So Dawn Clover, her name, that's Dawn. She is actually a Void group. She's also a boxer. It's kind of weird. She's kind of my answer to those characters that have heavy-hitting gloves, although hers aren't as big as like Vi or anything like that. Hers are kind of stylized. They look pretty beefy on her hands, but kind of not as huge and over-encumbering as, again, Vi or other characters have had. These go along with what she has. They look a little bit bigger and overly large, but not so much. And she calls them her heavy hitters. They actually weaken armor and defenses, even magical defenses, when she hits, and they can disrupt tech. Her quote is, "Don't make me hit you." Hers is just right into the point. She has jet black skin. Her horns are broken. Again, Gree don't have ears. They have horns going to, but her horns have been broken off. A Tarrasque actually did that to her. Not the one you're going to meet in a moment, though, but a different Tarrasque. She's very calm and direct in her approach. She's out to end the prophecy revolving around the Tarrasque, which is a potential Tarrasque invasion. Her story ends the mystery of the Hearts of Mourn, the kings in the north, and the Tarrasque. So throughout the book, there's 3 arcs. One is the Hearts of Mourn, which she gets embroiled on and asked to go investigate. And she puts an end to that because she finds the little cabal. She and her group they're literally information gatherers, and they don't like the Withers and how the Withers do things, although the Withers are kind of proven to be altruistic in this whole thing, in that they serve the Fates, not the Pantheon, and that's the whole big thing with the Withers, is they don't like serving the gods, but they are answerable to the Fates, and they are core in making sure Fate's design continues. And the Fates aren't bad. They just want natural progression to go along. I don't make the Fates evil in my universe. They're actually more of a force of let nature take its course. And they're not trying to keep the future as it was. They always say the future isn't weaved yet. And you get all this information, and it would have been a fairly lengthy book, because it would have been the end. The first third of the book would have been the Hearts of Mourn, which there wasn't much left to that by the end of this. There was really only the mother and father of Doom Scythe, and the one heart they managed to get, and Dawn Clover and her group kind of put an end to what they were going to do with it. The King in the North storyline is kind of resolved in an odd way, in that he shows up potentially to help the Tarrasque, but you suddenly find out, oh, he's not such a bad guy after all. The Broken Home is a place where he put monsters and beasts, and he tried to evacuate as many people as possible because they broke out thanks to somebody, and he took everybody to a safe haven, and that safe haven over the centuries has gotten bigger and better and become something very much like Mourn, where deeds for deeds are the norm, and he has an army ready to confront the Tarrasque, and it's fantastic. And all the heroics eventually go, oh, so we need to side with him. Oh, great. He's not such a bad guy after all. Oh, crap. Okay. And there's this whole tension moment of, oh, God, we are screwed. And then he turns his forces on the Tarrasque. Because it seems like he's there too, and everybody at the end of the fight, they're like, "Oh no, we're almost defeated. What do we do?" No, I don't have a lot of heroes pass away during this. I have like one or two, and none of the couples. So if anybody touches this, I don't let the couples get hurt or traumatized. I don't want that. That's not my thing. There's a couple heroics that do pass away. I don't know if I'll leave the notes for that or anything, but I will say I wanted one of them to be Dwana, who's the original gunslinger that I've mentioned a few times in the past. And I'll just go for broke here, and I say one of the main 9 concepts, one of these characters would have been, unfortunately, passed on. And again, it's not one of the couples. It would have been Freya. And Freya would have just used a fuse that she had specially designed as a last resort and taken out the leader of the Tarrasque. And that would have been it, because they would have had no choice, because at that point he would have almost mortally wounded the king in the north, totally demoralized everybody coming in, because he's this huge thing, and he comes in with reserve forces for the Tarrasque, which is an army of Everin, which are a type of magical creatures that they adapt, kind of like sentinels to things around them, and he would have come in with an army of them at the back of the Tarrasque and just started mopping through everybody, and Freya just saw no other recourse but to go in and do something in one fell swoop. And that would have been that. Hint, she had an out, as it is, because that means she saved the Pantheon. I'll let you go from there. When a heroic passes on, they're given one opportunity by the Fates and the Pantheon of whether they want to return or not after doing something truly selfless, and she did. I would have had Freya come back, but Dwana would have said, my time's done. I want to go rest. And that would have been the sad moment, because throughout everything, when you meet Dwana, she's she's a 75-year-old lady, human, who the gal who played Elizabeth McBride, that's her name, yeah, from Walking Dead, the gal who played Carol, I always imagined her playing that role or voicing the role. I would have just said, nah. I wouldn't have wanted a lot of sacrifice. I'm not one of those people that say, I want to end the hero and do it like this. But no. Yeah, but Dawn Clover, another Gru. So I wanted to start with a Gru and end with a Gru. And her 2 partners in crime. Autumn Lion, whose real name she forgot. She's been around a long time. She's a Tarrasque. She's a street fighter. Hello, Lane Pavogi. There you go. I have a street fighter in here. She's tan. She has tan and orange leather armor and is wearing an orange visor over her eyes. Her abilities are sonic kinetics, which I'll get to in a minute. Her quote is, "Ever heard a lion roar? I can do better." Has a mane of blonde hair streaked with orange. Her kicks and punches cause a unique roaring sound. She can also roar herself and cause damage to not just glass, but stone itself. Her arc is to stop her people from invading Mourn. And she's part of a tag team duo, kind of like Power Man and Iron Fist, or Luke Cage and Iron Fist. This is my answer to that duo, or Batman and Robin. The duo dynamic. Neither one of these is a sidekick to the other. They've always worked in tandem, and they're both pretty old. The other is Winter Owl. Her real name, she erased. She got rid of it. She doesn't want people to know it. She's a Bandersnatch. Yep. She's also a gunslinger. She doesn't tell anybody what world she protects. Hint, hint. She's actually the protector of the King in the North's utopia world that he created, that I got to a little bit ago. She wears leather armor in various shades of gray with a techish visor that is owl-like in appearance. And she can glide, and she has what's called deadshot magic, although she doesn't really lean on it that too heavily. It's only when she needs to make a shot really count. Quote, I only miss when I need to. She's kind of cocky. Background notes. Bandersnatch are a race of very owl-like that are very owl-like in appearance. She doesn't have a beak or anything, but she's very owlish in appearance. She has worked with Autumn for decades. Dawn, they both worked with Dawn quite a bit too. She uses magic to guide her shots, but is insanely good without it. Not with it, without it. I misspelled that. Is secretly the queen of the Bandersnatch. And she has a pet Jabberwock that comes to her aid every once in a while. That is named Alice. And yes, that's a nod. This character is a complete nod to Alice in Wonderland. And I love her so much. And anyway, that's it. There is an appendix that would have been at the end of this novel that showcases what happens with the other heroics during the final battle, final confrontation with the Tarrascan Everin army. But I pretty much gone over my notes on that. I know a lot of writers tell me you can't have this type of a story without a lot of big sacrifice. The heck with that. I can demoralize without taking away a lot of hope for the reader, and I didn't want to take away a lot of hope because I know everybody would have had their own favorite character, and I didn't want to go down that route. I did want to make an impact statement in that Freya would have just been the one because she started the whole thing. I wanted her to be the one to end it, and she again would have decided to come back. But Dwana, who was the other sacrifice, I was also toying with the idea of Hazel of the Walkers of the Storm sacrificing at the same time, but I just could never get it to work conceptually in my head. Anyway, guys, that's it. Next, we're going to do a world overview. I hope you guys have enjoyed this look at the book series. As far as the video games would have been, every 3 would have been a video game in its own right, along with an arc to play, which would have been set in various cities throughout the core aspect, and you would have been able to design and create your own character after you finish the 3 main arcs with equipment and abilities and whatnot from the other characters that were introduced throughout the whole thing. That's how I would have done it. But the book series, it was always going to be a book series first, and I just don't have time to do it anymore, sadly. Anyway, guys, I will see you in the near future. Thank you for watching this series, and I will see you soon.